Over the past few eons, hundreds of filmmakers have tried to capture the mystery and menace of one H.P. Lovecraft's writing and mythology. Some succeed, some fail, but all probably understand the frustrating damnation that is trying to adapt, in my personal opinion, the unadaptable magic of Lovecraft. Lovecraft's writing doesn't lend itself to the visual mediums at all. Not really. It is, in fact, elementally opposed to it. Lovecraft didn't paint. He didn't make movies. He wrote stories. His ideas best exist in the reader's imagination. Still, filmmakers are going to try to make movies from his work, because that's what they do. No one is going to agree on the perfect way to portray Lovecraft's work in film, but if you can make audiences laugh or feel fear, they won't mind these things as much. Thus, in my opinion, the only real goal in making a Lovecraft movie should not be visual or thematic authenticity, but instead to at least be spectacularly memorable. Memorable in terms of getting to at least one of the two poles where these adapted movies of madness typically arrive: the great or the awful. The inspiration for today's movie is an example of where I'm actually not right. Lovecraft sometimes can be filmable, I have to admit. Lovecraft's short story, The Unnamable, indeed lends itself to a movie. It's about two people discussing scary stories in a cemetery, stories regarding an evil house nearby and other unknown things. Things that eventually reach out and interact in their own way with the two storytellers. In 1987's Unnamable, three college mates are discussing what exactly it is that makes the image of something garish, something fiendish, appear and reappear over the years in the window of a nearby sinister house. It's the classic battle or plight of science versus mysticism, with each side arguing on what it is that's making something appear in those windows. Is it something that we can understand, or is it something beyond our senses? The debate is lively, and the group parts ways after coming to a pretty pivotal disagreement, one that launches each person on different paths, but paths with the same destination, and that's confrontation with something that lurks in the house nearby, something that's deadly to trespassers, something that is actually impossible to grasp, something that can only be called the Unnamable. That's right, the Unnamable, the beast in this film, is something that can only be described by Lovecraft himself as a gelatin, a slime, a vapor. The monster has 1,000 shapes of horror. There's so much potential in what you could choose to show with this monster. That's the danger of Lovecraft, and it's also the promise of Lovecraft, because you can make anything. So you might want to choose an interesting form for the Destructor. And director, producer, and writer Jean-Paul Ouellet made the bold move of showing this monster by combining the raw sexual power of furries with the woman in a fur bikini. Does this work? Hell no. But you get to see some funny shit along the way, so you probably won't mind as much. See, I told you. Either put Nick Cage in it, or make Reanimator. It's that easy. So, what did I actually like about this film? Because it sounds like I didn't like a lot of it, and that's an accurate summation. Well, I particularly liked the character of Carter. This is presumably Randolph Carter, a reoccurring character in a few of Lovecraft's Sleepy Time Magic Dream Cat Mystery World stories, as I like to call them, and one of the main characters in the Unnamable story that I mentioned. Carter's actor, Mark Kinsey Stevenson, is particularly kooky and memorable. This movie's Jeffrey Combs, for sure, and this movie's best actor, definitely. He has a real charm here that is as powerful as my disappointment is in the fact that he didn't really do many other movies of this type. Except for the sequel, Unnamable 2, so now I gotta risk watching the second one. Oh boy. In this film, Carter is the guy that's reading the magic books. And if you know your Lovecraft stories, that makes him player number one, basically. He's mumbling about Cthulhu, and he's summoning these spirits to battle the evil of the house, which, as any Lovecraft lover also knows, is the only way to really temporarily fix these sorts of situations. Mostly. Some of the time. You won't be sane afterwards, but maybe. Who knows? Unfortunately, his adventures are pushed off screen, where they probably can endanger the budget. The rest of the decent members of the cast, and there are a couple, are also more implied than involved. They're either killed off early or they're pushed aside so that we can see this sub-story about truly objectionable, power-seeking wasp types and jocks exploring the mysterious house, getting drunk, and trying to rape each other. It's at this point that the film reveals it's not so much about the potential of that original H.P. Lovecraft story, and it's instead just a few Lovecraft items tacked onto what is really a bog-standard slasher. We're left watching these other creeps and less interesting characters wander around the haunted house, discovering their underwhelming and uncreative deaths, or happening upon other characters' sometimes creatively placed corpses, and not much else. It's watching this that minutes feel like hours, and they lead to a general stupor. I was only brought back to my senses when an interesting line about the house being bigger on the inside than it seems on the outside was uttered, or say a truly great piece of gore was slopped across the screen. I almost cared at that moment because it looked cool. It's a neat-looking dead body, I guess. Until I realized it was one of those brain-dead characters that I despised, and then I was like, oh, I don't care you're dead, but whatever. Otherwise, when I could care, I was unenthused, and then I was confused. There are parts here at the end of the film that pertain to spells involving tree spirits being used to combat the Unnamable. The spells aren't in the original story, and honestly, they sound more like August Derleth Elemental Mythos crap than H.P. Lovecraft gold. Their inclusion here results in some really stupid moments. Something like a Swamp Thing cameo or Captain Planet trying to save the day by waving tree branches, menacingly at the goat monster. Like, okay, that's gonna stop a monster from the beyond. Jesus Christ. I give the Unnamable 2 goat feet out of 5. As it is, it's not great. It's not awful. It's honestly neither of the two paths I laid out before you. Because in true Lovecraftian madness, this movie chose a path heretofore unmentioned by me. The Unnamable chose to be unremarkable.
All of these things are designed to frighten a monkey.